Fortunes have been lost, but no fortunes have ever been found in the mountain in the search for the lost Dutchman gold. Some say that the majestic beauty and the tranquility of the region are the only treasures that man will find in the Superstition Mountains. The death of Adolph Ruth in 1931 opened up one of the most intriguing chapters in the history of the Superstition wilderness, and it would be the one that would start up all the rumors and stories all over again. Adolph Ruth's skull was found on the east slope of Blacktop Mesa in a small tributary of Needle Canyon. The remainder of his body would not be found until many months later, over 3/4 of a mile away. The press found reporting the circumstances surrounding Ruth's death even more appealing than the news of the Depression. Now the question pops up, what was Ruth doing here in the first place? He didn't belong here. He was a city slicker. Well, the story actually began back in 1912 when his son, Irwin C. Ruth, was working as a cattle inspector for the U.S. Bureau of Animal Husbandry down in Mexico. He acquired some treasure maps from a military officer while he was there. The reason for this generous contribution to Irwin was the fact that he had saved the man's life and the lives of his family. In that assortment of old papers and maps from Mexico, he discovered what was later to become known as the Peralta Ruth maps. After his retirement in 1931, that he finally arrived in Arizona territory. When he did, though, he immediately went over to Tex Barkley, the owner of the Quarter Circle U Ranch. On June 11th, he tried to persuade Tex to take him up into the mountain. But Tex said, "No, sir, I won't do it." He said, "You're old, you're in bad health, you'll probably die up on that rock if I take you there." However, Ruth persisted until Tex finally agreed to pack him in. However, Adolph Ruth would have to wait for his return from Phoenix in 3 or 4 days. Tex had business up there, on cattle business in Phoenix. As fate would have it, though, while Tex was gone, an impatient Ruth left the ranch with 2 itinerant cowboys by the name of Purnell and Keenan, who hung out around the ranch. On the 20th of June, Barkley rode into Ruth's camp. He knew that something was wrong, and he could tell that the site had not been occupied for at least 2 days. Barkley immediately notified the county authorities, both Maricopa and Pinal Sheriff's offices. The search for Ruth continued for over 45 days throughout June, July, and on into August, the hottest part of the year here in Arizona. Irwin Ruth soon arrived and once again organized a search for his father. He even offered a reward, just as he had done in San Diego 12 years earlier, all to no avail. Irwin believed to the day of his death in 1969 that his father had met with foul play up in the Superstitions. He also believed that his father had been carrying maps that would lead him to the elusive lost Dutchman gold. Well, despite all the claims that Adolph Ruth had been murdered, there has never been an official statement to that effect. Both county sheriff's offices concluded that Ruth had died of natural causes, probably dehydration and starvation and such. Of course, they don't say too much about them bullet holes that they found in his skull. I guess they don't mean nothing about nothing there. I'm not real sure about that. Some folks believe that the elements are what cost Ruth his life. Most other folks simply believe he was murdered for his treasure maps. Even Tex Barkley had said that Ruth talked too much, was too free with the information about his maps. But the fact of the matter is that even if he ever did have maps, no one's ever come up with finding them. Few events in the history of this region have ever left such an impact as that of the Adolph Ruth case, the disappearance of the Peralta Ruth maps, and his deadly search for the lost Dutchman gold. Thank you for watching this episode of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains.